busted.
Hi book lovers, this is Jenny with Juliababyjen's Reading Room, and today is top 10 best book to movie adaptations. My thoughts on book to movie adaptations: I personally like them for the most part. I think it's great. I think a lot of people compare way too much the book to the movie, and it's like comparing apples to oranges. You've got two completely different mediums here, and the way they're viewed. I mean, a book you see in your head, a movie is there in front of you to see, so there isn't really a lot of imagination involved in it. And some people prefer the movie experience, and some people prefer reading and getting the imagination. I prefer reading. I like seeing it in my head. That is mainly why most of the time I never watch a movie unless I've already read the book, if I'm interested in reading the book at all. If I'm not interested in reading the book, I'll go ahead and see the movie. But because it's going to ruin the experience of reading for me, if I've already seen the movie, I'm going to picture all that. So I will not normally do that. So I don't really compare them that way. What I'm comparing between the book and the movie is how it made me feel. And that's, I think, the only way you can really compare the two, because they're such different mediums. And you can't translate exactly what happens in a book onto a movie screen. Number one, the movies would be way too long, and you would have to sit there all day to watch them, and it wouldn't be that entertaining. And number two, it's some things that work in your head obviously are not going to work in a movie, like where you have pages and pages of text where it's just the character's thoughts. Well, how are you going to put that into a movie? I mean, really? Are you going to have a narration while you're just sitting there watching what's going on, and then the narration of the character talking for 10 minutes about how they feel? That's not going to work. You might get a little narration here and there about key points. That's my thoughts on translating the two. So when I am comparing the book to the movie, I am looking for how it made me feel, and if the lessons or the overall themes or the feelings I'm getting stay true to the book. And those are the best movie to book adaptations for me. Some of them do follow the book very closely, and some of them don't. And in my mind, it doesn't really matter as long as it's true to the essence of the story. This is a really hard list to come up with, but I narrowed it down by making sure that I had read the book and seen the movie, because otherwise it's really hard to judge. So these are my top 10 favorites. Number 10, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This is one of my favorite children's books. I love this book so much. I really wanted to have a little pet pig, just like Fern did. But then as I got a little older and realized what they look like when they get older, I decided, oh, I don't really want a pig. But I love the book, and I love the movie. I loved the cartoon one when I was little, but it wasn't, I didn't think, quite as good. I love this newer one. Dakota Fanning's so great in it, and it's just, I just love the scenery, and I just loved it. I still cry every time I see the ending. Number 9 is Patriot Games by Tom Clancy. Um, I love the Jack Ryan series by Tom Clancy. I haven't read all of the books, but the ones I read I really like. They're my favorite Tom Clancy books. And I really love this movie. This movie was way better than the book, in my opinion. Maybe because of Harrison Ford, I don't know. But it's one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies, too. I just like the idea, I guess, of a man doing what he had to do to save his family. And I just thought it was really good action, really well done. Okay, I might get some haters on this one, but my number 8 is Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. Both parts 1 and 2, but especially part 2. And compared to the previous 3 movies, I thought this one was so much better as far as the movies went. I still, of course, like the book way better, but what I really loved about this movie was getting to see Bella as a vampire. That was, I think, the whole point of the end of the series for me. I really wanted to see what she was going to be like when she became a vampire, and that's why I really loved the book, and also why I liked the movie, because I actually got to see that. And I actually thought Kristen Stewart did the best of all the movies in Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2. I think she was way better than she was in the previous three. Edward Pattison, I still didn't really like that much in the movie, but I could deal with it. The other thing I really loved about this movie was the action sequence at the end, which was not in the book. And I really loved how they added that into the movie. I thought that was great. I was just, it was awesome. And then I also loved the very ending, how it has Bella and Edward in the meadow, and she's projecting to him, and you get to see kind of her thoughts a little bit. And then it fades to the ending credits. And it kind of does a curtain call for every actor who's ever been in the movies, which I thought was really neat, with the song A Thousand Years playing in the background. And I thought that was awesome. I just love the ending to it. So it earned a spot in my top 10. Number 7 is Carrie by Stephen King. This isn't my favorite Stephen King book by any means, but it's my favorite Stephen King movie as far as comparing it to the book. I really liked how they did Carrie, and I can't wait to see the new version that's going to be coming out. Number 6 was also one of my favorite children's books growing up, A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I also love The Secret Garden by her even more, but I loved this movie. I still can't get enough of this movie. It's one of the best movies ever made, and it's just great at capturing the feelings of the book. And if you haven't seen the book or haven't seen the movie, even if you haven't read the book, see the movie, because you don't really need to read the book to see the movie. It's so good. Number 5 is a no-brainer to me, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I was extremely impressed with this movie. I'm really kind of disappointed that Gary Ross is not going to be doing Mockingjay, because he did such a good job on this movie, and I can't wait to see Catching Fire. I love the style of it, how it made it feel almost like a documentary. So it really puts you in there with the characters, which was really awesome, and it really made it more gripping and really made you, I don't know, the feelings and the horror of the whole situation really hit you. I also loved how they didn't use a lot of background music. There's only a little bit here and there, also making it more documentary feeling. And I just like the decisions they made and how they filmed it. I think it was really great. And then, of course, the actors were awesome. The action was awesome. It was very true to the book. There were some differences, but, I mean, the main themes of it were all still there, and you really felt what Katniss was feeling. And, you know, Rue, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever cried so hard in a movie before. Every time I see it, but especially the first time. And when I really realized that it was such a great movie was right when I started watching it. I went to the midnight showing with my kids. It was a special present. They were on spring break that week, so they didn't have school the next day. So we decided we were going to go have fun and see the movie, because they'd all read the books. And we were sitting there. We got there about 45 minutes beforehand. I pre-bought our tickets, and we were in this movie theater. And it's mostly, because it was in a college town, it was mostly college kids. And I could tell people sitting around me, there was a lot of guys there who were there with their dates, who hadn't read the book and didn't really know a lot about the movie. And they're just kind of goofing off, making fun of it kind of a little bit. They're like, oh, this is going to be like a Twilight. And they're just kind of goofing off. So then the movie starts, and within 10 seconds, there's dead silence in the theater. And it was dead silent almost the entire movie, except for when people laughed occasionally, which you don't hear that very often. Usually with a bunch of college kids sitting around, especially guys with dates, you hear them being silly occasionally. And when I happened to look up and look around, everybody was glued to the screen. So I don't think it was just me. I think it just really impacted people, and it really hit them. So I thought it was a great movie, and I can't wait for Catching Fire. Number 4 is cheating a little bit. It's not really a book. It's a play, but it is an work of literature, so I'm going to count it. Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. This is my favorite Leo DiCaprio movie, and this is a movie where I completely fell in love with him, and I'm still in love with him to this day. I don't normally fascinated about famous people. I don't really fall in love with people like that or have those little schoolgirl crushes, but I do with him because, oh my God, he was so hot in this movie. I remember seeing it when it came out. I was in high school. Gosh, I just love it. I love how they made it feel modern day, but it still kept the essence of Shakespeare in it and the actual dialogue and all the words and everything. I just loved how they did that, and it just made so much more sense to me. It was awesome. It really made it come alive for me. And Romeo and Juliet isn't my favorite William Shakespeare, but this was just such a great adaptation of it. So it earned its spot at number 4 on my list. Number 3 would not surprise anybody who knows me and who's spent any time with me or been in my house or my mother's house, is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. This is my top, this is like my second favorite book of all time. Um, I just love it. I can't tell you why. I just do. It's just awesome. I think it's mostly because of Scarlett. I like Scarlett. Just the care and and the setting. It's so heartbreaking and just everything that's going on. And then I just love this movie too. Obviously, I don't know if anybody nowadays still watches this movie. I mean, back when I was a kid, everybody had seen, over the age of 20 had seen this movie at some point. And, some people loved it, some people didn't. It is a very long movie to sit through, but I just love it. It's so visually stunning. I really want to see it someday in the movie theater. I've never seen it in a movie theater, and I would really love to see it. I have it on Blu-ray, and it's just amazing on Blu-ray. It's just so visually beautiful. And then Vivien Leigh as Scarlett is one of the best performances I've ever seen. She is Scarlett. I mean, she totally makes you believe that that's a real character. And then Clark Gable as Rhett Butler is also really, really good. And all the other supporting characters are great. The lady that plays Mammy is amazing. And then just I don't know. It's just so great. And also the fact that it was made in 1938, and to look at what they did, I mean, with it, it doesn't seem like great special effects and all that now so much, but if you think that this was made in 1938, I mean, it was really ahead of its time. So it was just really well made. I've watched a couple documentaries on how it was made, and it's really interesting. The was it the director? No, it was the producer. They went through directors. They went through like 4 directors on this movie. I know one of them had a nervous breakdown over it. It was it was not great working conditions, and the producer, David Selznick, was just really picky, and he wanted this to be his crowning achievement, which it was. But he worked really hard on making it that way, and he really pushed his actors and his directors, and he's not a very nice guy, but I guess in the end we ended up with a really great piece of art, so I guess it worked out. It's just a really awesome story, an awesome movie, and it is my number 3. Number 2 is probably on a lot of people's lists. Another one of my favorite books of all time, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, parts 1 and 2. I don't really think I could distinguish which one I like better, parts 1 or 2. I liked them both. They were both really good. There's a pretty decent departure from the book, but compared to the other Harry Potter movies, I actually think it followed the book more closely than the other ones. I really love the beginning of part 1, where it showed them all kind of coming together, like Harry, Ron, and Hermione, what they were all doing at the moment, and when Hermione places her parents under that spell and then walks down the street. I thought that was such a neat scene. And then just the 3 of them together are great. Those actors are great together. I just think they're really awesome. And just the 3 of them together were great. I thought Emma Watson was amazing in these. I mean, they all were, but Emma Watson was really good in these movies. She is such a good actress. They got lucky when they cast her. And the end of it, just the showdown between Harry and Voldemort. When he walked in the forest, I thought that part was great. And when they carried him back to Hogwarts, I thought that part was really good. And when he jumped out and ran away, I thought that was neat too. And I kind of thought the part with the snake could have been better. I really liked, I mean, yes, Neville killed it, but I really liked how it went down in the book more. So that kind of bugged me. And then, the fact that Harry and Voldemort are like tumbling around the castle part, I thought that was weird. The only reason they had that, I know, was for 3D effects because they were putting it in 3D. So I'm sure that's why that was in there, to make it more interesting in 3D. I haven't seen it in 3D, so I don't know. But that part was a little bit. But then the very end, where where Harry actually kills him, was good. And then when it shows Harry, Ron, and Hermione walking out across the bridge, and then it has Harry throwing the wand away. I thought that was really neat. And then just kind of that still of them standing there, the three of them, like, that's just such an iconic image. I just loved that. And then it goes to them in the future with their kids at Hogwarts, and I thought that was really awesome too, to see them grown up. I'm glad they included that into the movie. A lot of people didn't like that last epilogue and I thought it was great that we got to see them years later and how they kind of turned out. And I thought that was neat. There is a special feature on the DVD where, I can't remember if it's part 1 or 2, I think it's part 2, where Daniel Radcliffe and J.K. Rowling interview each other, and it's like an hour-long piece where they ask each other some questions. He asks J.K. Rowling about the epilogue and how a lot of fans were unhappy with it and why she thought that was. And she thought it was because a lot of fans were expecting Harry to be like Minister of Magic, or all of them to be great aurors or something like that. But she said the beauty of it was the fact that after all that they could still have a normal life was just amazing, because they'd been through horrible situations, especially Harry. I mean, he was forever probably damaged by that. And the fact that they could grow up, get married, have an ordinary life, and have children and be, happy was the beauty of the whole thing. And that's why she wrote it like she did. She wanted her fans to see that they came out okay. And it's not a guarantee. I mean, in a fairy tale world, yeah, maybe he would have been, but he also, you have to remember, by the end of it, he threw away that wand. He did not want power. He was not seduced by that like Voldemort was. He saw what it did to people. He saw what it did to Dumbledore. So he was against that whole thing. So there was no way he was going to be someone important. I thought he might end up at Hogwarts as a teacher. I could have seen him after Order of Phoenix, him being a teacher. But it doesn't really say anything about his job, because in the end, that doesn't really matter. What matters is he had his children, and he's part of society, and he's happy, and that kind of thing. So I really liked that ending to it. And number 1 is actually my favorite all-time movie. I love this movie so much. I like the book too. This is one where I actually like the movie more than the book. And that is rare. I think it's Gregory Peck as Atticus. He is just amazing. And the way the movie really makes you feel the injustices of everything that's going on. At the end, where you really feel what Scout is feeling and the lessons that she's now learned from that, which is the whole point of the book. So I just really love how well it's done, and it's very true to the book, which is great. And yeah, it's my number 1 pick, my favorite movie of all time as well. So that is my top 10 best book to movie adaptations. Go ahead and leave me any comments if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, and I'm sure I'll be back with another video soon. Talk to you later. Bye.
Busted.